Just because the garden got put to bed doesn't mean we have to stop preserving food. We're canning from the store today. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina. I'm glad you're here with me today. We're going to start our canning process off with, of course, washing our sweet potatoes. That is the first thing we're going to can today. These things are massive. And because they are so massive, I did have to cut them in half. I'm completely new to canning sweet potatoes, so this is going to be an experience for both of us. And the cutting, as you could tell, was an absolute struggle bus. So according to the ball book, you're supposed to boil them just long enough for the skin to peel off. I let them boil for about 10 minutes, which seemed long enough for the skin to peel off, but that just wasn't happening. So I had to go back through and slice all of the skins off. I think next time I will just peel them with a peeler because the process did take way longer than anticipated. Here I'm just slicing them into like French fry shapes because I want to can them and have sweet potato fries whenever I want. And this is the moment I realized that they do turn brown. They oxidize just like white potatoes. So I'm putting them in the sink, putting cold water over them while I finish slicing and chunking up the rest of the sweet potatoes. Yep, I did tiny little chunks too. Now that everything's chopped and sliced, you can either add 3 quarts of water to your canner, or it actually has lines on them. And for this particular canner, you just want to fill it up to the first line on the bottom. And I always say, don't forget your vinegar. If you have hard water and you don't want film on your jars, add a splash of vinegar. But guess who always forgets? And here's one of my favorite parts, not the favorite parts of the canning process, but just one of them, is filling those jars, because I know I'm close to the finish line. So we're just filling this up to a 1-inch headspace, topping it off with water, taking our little plastic knife. I used to use a metal knife, but I guess, the big guys don't recommend a metal knife, so we're sticking with the plastic. There are so many different ways you can prepare a sweet potato. You can go the sweet side, the savory side, and my family loves eating sweet potatoes. So when I found these on sale for 49 cents a pound, I knew they had to come home with me. Around my area, they're normally $2 a pound, completely outrageous in my opinion. So why not buy them when they're super, super cheap? That way we can have sweet potato fries whenever we want to. We can have sweet potato casserole, or just even roast them with salt, pepper, whatever kind of seasonings we like. So for the sweet potato fry shapes, I'm just going to put them in the jar just like you would can up a green bean. Add my boiling water to a 1-inch headspace, debubble, and add more water if I need to. Next, I'm going to go in with a little bit of vinegar on a paper towel, wipe off the rim of the jar, add my lid, which I do not put in boiling water before I put them on top of the jar. It's not recommended anymore. And then I add my ring, fingertip tight, and they're all ready to get processed. From my elevation, I process these at 11 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes. Please always do your research before processing. Now that everything's done, I absolutely cannot wait to try these. I did end up doing 2 batches. Since I purchased 20 pounds of sweet potatoes, a bunch of the scraps we did end up eating the next day. I just roasted them on a cookie sheet with some sausage. So next up, we're going to can some cranberry juice. This is not an approved recipe, but first I'm going to bust in with a little bit of a fail. So I just went down in the basement to get some rings because I'm canning up cranberry juice. And I noticed this white ring around my tomato sauce. I hope you guys can see it right there. And this is why I periodically check my jars. I always check, make sure everything's sealed when I put it away, before I put it away. I check the seals. I like to do the pokey poke, whatever you want to call it. Press the lid down, make sure that, it doesn't pop down, pop back up. And I also grab it like that. And then I wash it really good, because sometimes when things go bad, it will start coming out and oozing, and I don't want to put it away with anything on it. And then you would see the ooze. Sometimes it oozes. But anyway, so I saw that, and apparently it did not seal, so that is trash. Just a little, Things happen for you guys. Okay, now we're gonna do the cranberry juice. So like I mentioned, we're gonna can some cranberry juice here, and this is not an approved recipe. So why did I can it? Why did I record it? And why am I showing it to you guys? Well, I'm a curious person. I wanted to try it out just to see, basically how it worked out. I know there are a lot of people that can things that are not approved according to the National Center for Food Preservation or the Ball Book recipes, and that's okay. If that's what you want to do, more power to you, baby. But this did, it pretty much made me nervous after I was done. So will I do this recipe again? More than likely not. It's not because I'm a rule follower. I mean, I do like 41 and a 35, but that's besides the point. I guess what I'm trying to say is I wanted this channel to be about what I'm doing for my family and how I'm doing it, not exactly telling you what to do or how to do things. Just, hey, come hang out with me for the day. We're going to try some new recipes. We're going to do some old recipes that I know work out and taste really good, and I just wanted to share them with you. And to be off track again, I am showing that I did start my sourdough journey again. I actually started teaching my husband how to start and maintain a sourdough starter. Did this loaf work out? Absolutely not. And that's why I'm showing it to you, because later on you'll see my failed loaf on the counter beside me. Now that the cranberry juice is done, we're on to the next day. It sat for, I don't know, about 14 hours. And you'll see at the bottom, the sugar is stuck. It does not matter how much I shook that jar, it is stuck, stuck, stuck. And that's another reason why it kind of made me nervous. But I'm taking the rings off. I'm going to check to make sure that everything's sealed properly. And then I'm going to give them a good washing. Remember that sourdough loaf we talked about? Oh, I don't know, about 45 seconds ago? There she is in all her failed glory. And next up, onto my absolute most favorite part about canning. Adding the jars to what some might call a stockpile, some might call a pantry. If you have one, I'd love to know what you call it. So why is this my favorite part? Because I can add jars and jars and jars of food that aren't loaded down with chemicals and dyes and pesticides. I know exactly what's in them. And on those days where we're either just so super busy and forget to take something out, or I am completely exhausted, we can just run down to the basement, grab a jar, open it up, throw it into a pot or a skillet, and we have a meal within minutes. My next two adventures, yes, I'm getting wild here. I would love to can up some chili as well as some vegetable beef soup. If you want to join along for that adventure, I would so much love it. Our pantry isn't huge. We don't have 600-700 jars of food, but I'm still really proud of it. And if you can, I'm proud of you too. Thank you for hanging out in my kitchen today. Now the pantry. Until I see you next time, be kind, eat well, and I'll see you in the next one.